true perfection must always be imperfect. If that's true, our world's not free of defect. Barely any people who feel assess for action. And what we call attraction is a constellation of looks and fame. You're not admired for a life filled with memories, but for how powerful you are when fighting your enemies. The where you peace and what you seize don't really matter in this world of ours, as long as you have other powers. As long as you have other powers.
There we are. Welcome back, fellas, ladies, gentlemen. Hero Labs Live. RT, your host on this Friday, August 27th. You feel that energy in the market. I've been so fired up the last couple of days, not sleeping as much, doing my best to learn the ways of the ape season, which I missed last August. It was too cool for school when that came around. And so I've been up, just doing that. Let me get that volume down. Let me know how that is. So we're going to take it, we're going to take it down with the music tone today. I'm hype. I am, believe it or not. I got 3 hours of sleep last night. But we're going to talk a little bit about how to manage lack of sleep and really the FOMO that will come around here because, and I'll share with you how I fucked up this week and how I've already made it back and that little roller coaster that I was on just yesterday. It seems like forever ago. So if you guys are here for the early edition today, thank you for joining me. I'm going to close this so I can see y'all. Yeah, really nice to have you here on a Friday, guys. There's so much going on, and so it's one of those situations where like I find an hour and I'm like, let's just get live today, because if I wait till 3, it might be a very inopportune moment, and time is money, right? This is a go hard market, and I can't trade while I'm live. Basically, the way it is. So we're gonna go over it today. We're gonna take a look at all the good stuff. We're gonna talk AVAX. We're gonna talk Ethereum. There's some news coming out of Ethereum right now. There's a bug floating around, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then maybe we'll put a little RT twist on ape season, because I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna get after it, but I still want to play from a position of strength. I still want to think first, act later, and I know that's counterintuitive to ape season, but it works. It still works. I don't care what people say. TA doesn't work on this. It does, and I'm going to show you some examples today. But when it's mooning, people will be like, they'll cause you to want to get in, to want to just, fuck it, it's going up, ape in, buy the breakout. And you know what? That's going to age really well for a lot of people. But it's not how I trade. It fucked me up a little bit this week, I won't lie. And, I'm okay. I'll survive. But the best and worst part of it all is after I did do some aping on whatever it was, Tuesday, yesterday, prices came into all my levels. And, you know, I added and we're back and it's all good. And I think we're going much, much higher. But it was just a healthy reminder for me that no matter what, markets, they just don't move in a straight line. They will zigzag up, and those zags, that's your pump chaser zone. That's your reload zone, you know, whatever it is. AVAX is more pump chaser zone territory right now, which is my favorite because you don't have to wait long. You know, reload zones, they're kind of like slow, dreebly kind of markets, and then they park, and it's great. You know, it's great. You might get into a trade on the 4 hour and you're sitting there 3 weeks later, you're up 80%. Love it. But these pump chaser to fib extension trades right now are just smacking on AVAX names. And we're going to take a look at all that. So let's get over here right away. We're going to just start with the liquidity on AVAX. This was at 2.2 million or billion yesterday. It's already up 400 million this morning, 20%. It's small. It's very small relative to other liquidity. Now I had another table up here. Let me see if I can find it. TVL rankings. So take a look at this stuff, guys. And you know, I'm not here to be like, you better get in here because I need my bags to be pumped. People are gonna come. It's, you know, it's a very good experience, I must say, trading over there. And every time I come back to like sell another bag on Ethereum to like bridge more funds over, because I just realized there's so much heat here and all my attention is over there right now, that it is a waste to be sitting in a coin that's like, oh, maybe this will go up, you know, sometime this quarter. So I am doing a lot of that, and every time I go to sell a bag on Ethereum, it costs me $70, $90, and then I bridge it to AVAX, and my trades are like 30 cents. And I know that's like, okay, well, we had that with Binance Smart Chain, and then that's cool. This is just a little bit more ground level, a little bit less centralized, or as far as like Binance goes. Doesn't have the user base that's going to feed into it. Perhaps, you know, will take a little more time to get over. But once the BNB bridge goes live, Binance Smart Chain bridge goes live, I agree with Messi. I think we're going to see a real fucking chaos PRZ type environment, and I'm here for it. So if you look at these TVLs, you know, AVAX as an entire ecosystem is below Yearn. It's below Uniswap. It's below Balancer. It's below V3 and V2 Uniswap. You know, it's basically parked right around Anchor, whatever the heck that is. So I think there's room for growth here. I'm here for it. And we're going to look at some charts today. First off, let's start with this. Nope, that's an ad. Let's start with this bug that I just heard about 10 minutes ago. So we're going to read through this together. Thought this is a really nice place to start. It's not to FUD Ethereum, like, hey, AVAX bros in the house, Ethereum sucks. But there is a bug impacting over 50% of the Ethereum clients, and it's leading to some sort of fork, according to that headline. And you can read about it here. Let's just do it. So in the older versions of the Ethereum network, split the main network. Sounds scary. Make up, you know, I'm sure it's not doomsday, so relax. Don't go sell anything because you're listening to me right now. This means that around 54% of Ethereum nodes are running on major infrastructure bug. Could lead to double spend attacks where cryptocurrency is spent, but then the transaction is overwritten by an alternative chain. Block Research has identified this address as the one who exploited the bug and is funded by a Tornado Cash client. Go figure. The bug also affects other EVM-compatible chains like Binance Smart Chain and Polygon. And if you click through to here, Bentag, who I admittedly don't know who they are, but they seem probably like a DeFi heavy hitter. I'll just follow them now. Thanks for the heads up. Now that the exploit is in the wild, it can be relayed on other networks like Polygon, BSC, DAI, Orly. Be careful. Try not to do any economically significant transactions until things are cleared up. So it's a little bit of a heads up to the world in Ethereum and other similar chains. Great news for the Avalanche squad, though. Kevin Sekniki came out and gave us a heads up that this patch was to this bug was deployed on Avalanche days ago. So it sounds like we're all good over in Avalanche Town. Just one more reason to hit the bridge and prepare yourself for what's coming. And it's very easy if you're like me. Let's go look at AVAX. It's very easy if you're like me to look at this and just think, you know, like, ah, shit, I missed it. I'm going to sit out. And that's what the old me would have done had I missed this. Now, I did pick up like 25. I don't know, like last Wednesday, I aped into some at 25, just thinking I was late, but I was like, fuck it. It ran harder and faster than I thought it would. Great. Picked up some PNG, which shit the bed yesterday because Joe was overtaking it. We'll talk about that. And then up here, we're pushing a new highs the other day, and I put it on the newsletter. I said, look, let's just stay calm. Let's chill. Let's relax. Let's wait for this pump chaser zone. Let's, And at the time, depending on who you ask, they'll say, TA doesn't work. We're going to the moon. Vertical accumulation. Like, sorry. Like, there's always going to be profit takers. There's always going to be, over-leveraged people need to get squeezed out. Because even if you're a whale, and the whales that are moving this kind of volume, this is whale volume. This is not like, oh, look, 100 million retail people bought $100 worth. Like this, these guys, if you're bullish on this thing, you want it cheaper. You want to squeeze it down. You want to dump it into people's faces who are, are going to sell because they just bought the highs. And then you just set the floor and you continue on. So there's always going to be a zig and a zag. And if you look on the weekly, it may not seem like it, but you zoom in and there's some nice levels. And I'm really happy to see this morning. A front run of the 382 by 16 cents about. And when you don't touch the 382 and then you continue higher, which we haven't done yet, but break this high, and I don't even think you need this signal because the volume is so incredible, and the TVL and the narrative and just how much better it is at DeFi than Ethereum right now, and likely just going to get better with age, with liquidity and all that, and new iterations and more bridges and whatever. This front run is a signal of pending bullishness. Now, again, I don't know that we needed that signal, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see when you don't even get the pump chaser zone and you get a strong reaction. That's lurking bulls. That's like this whole little drawdown, this shakeout was bullshit. It was designed to take your coins. And I added. I was looking at this last night on FTX. I was doing a little bit of scalping yesterday. I bought here, caught this, closed some, tried to long it again, cut my winnings in half, took the L. It was a W for the day, but like half of what I wanted. And then when it came down, and then I was looking, and I thought about this low right here, and I was just thinking, damn, I almost just want to park a nasty bid right at this low. And it turns out it was fucking perfect. I didn't, but I did pick some up last night. As soon as I got home, I was out for a little bit visiting the little man, who, by the way, if you guys are wondering, my son is doing really well. He's, he was super preemie, so like he's still in the hospital, but he's putting on weight really fast. He'll probably be home next week, and he's like really healthy. He's like 100% good to go. No issues. So I was hanging out with him last night for a couple hours, and then this tag front run. Oof. Anyways, perfect. So I'm back. Well, I wasn't really out, but I added bigly to the AVAX stack, and I've got some stables over there. It's not like, when I'm all in, I feel uncomfortable. I'm like, shit, if there's any dips, I can't even pick them up. And we're gonna look at some. Once AVAX catches that bid, which it is right now, you're gonna see a lot of that shakeout across the board right now. They're very correlated. It's kind of like Bitcoin and USD pairs. Yeah, thanks for the love in the chat, guys. Appreciate that. My little man's gonna be my big man in no time. So let's take a look at some of the big names. Obviously the big news yesterday or shift was Pangolin, which sadly was one of my bigger bags. I was like, oh, this is the Uniswap. This is the safer play. What was it last Wednesday? What was last Wednesday? 18th? No. Yeah. 16th? I don't know. I picked a bag up last Wednesday and I was feeling like a champ. And then I added like triple that size somewhere in this consolidation, and then feeling like a champ again. And then added a little more here, and then watched it shit. So I probably got out a little bit underwater despite all my entries. But I had to swap out of it, and I'll tell you why, even though it's probably in a decent little area because it's not dead. But Joe is taken off. Joe is, the sort of the whispers I'm hearing in the community is that not just a whisper. It's right here on the chart, and the TVL swapped or flippened. But the word is that Joe's actually got a really good in on AVAX, and I think the jury's still out on who will be the Uniswap, and I think that's really shaken a lot of people who just looked and said, Pangolin's the one, and that narrative is sort of shaky right now, so it's repriced, and we're seeing a lot of rotation towards Joe, and for now that may continue. Joe's at all-time highs, blasting into price discovery. Pangolin eating a little shit after maybe going too far too fast, given the fundamentals and whatever. But they have a governance proposal that just went through. And so sometime in the near future, I believe 7 days, don't shoot me if it's a little longer, but they're going to go live and basically have like a fee burning thing. So there will be, some bullish news, bullish developments happening on Pangolin. I don't have the, maybe I do. Let's go see. I think I can just pull it up right here. Vote. It's one of the most recent proposals. I'll just pull it up. Fee switch. Yeah, let's get that over here. Okay. So the fee switch, basically, you can read about it here. I don't know if I want to read the whole thing to you. But, it has to do with getting some funds so they can pay for market makers on things like Qcoin, Bitmart. I mean, these guys will probably get a nice listing pretty soon. If there's a lot of volume being traded on it, then exchanges will want it. And so they're going to scoop $1.25 million in fees. And then beyond that, they're going to do some burning. Stored, burned and buyback and burn strategy, blah, blah, blah. So that's just bullshit. You know that, right? It's always bullish. So I don't think PNG's dead. I did rotate out of, my larger position yesterday when all this kind of talk of flipping happened, because that's just, when you see an entire narrative, especially in a sort of newer ecosystem like this, flip like that, where it's like, oh, Pangolin's not the one, rush to Joe. I didn't just race into Joe. Maybe I should have, but I've got a bag and it's moving today. Oh my God, it's moving today. So you can see, we'll look through another couple other alt charts right now, but the energy, the euphoria, even if it's maybe a little early to even say that, but the inertia is very clearly on AVAX, and everything I'm seeing tells me it's just getting started, even though, my more savvy RLSD traders, they look at this, they say, well, it's too late, I can't get in, and that's fine. Follow your plan. I'll show you what I did this week that it was a little sweaty. Basically around here the other day, just started aping into a bunch of these names. And it's interesting because it's uncanny. Like, you start getting in here, breaking into price discovery, and then you have to sweat the first few hours. Now, I've been very resistant to breaking my rules, getting into these kinds of pumps and rallies. And what does it take to break me out of that rule set, right? What does it take to tap into my human emotion and basically make me fuck up? And what it takes is new highs, breakouts in volume. It almost is that tipping point, and why people end up buying tops so often is because it's at that peak moment where you're just like, I need in. And that happened to me the other day, and it happened to a lot of people actually in some of the chats that I'm in, where for the next day they're like, I'm underwater on everything, 30%. And it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Even if I'm sitting there very confident and good feeling about this whole thing, I hated that. Because I'm a trader through and through, and I want the best entry. So even if I'm down 30% on something I think is going to go 5x, I'm just thinking to myself, well, could have had 30% more and followed my plan. And so I'm just going to be honest that happened. I'm not going to be like, I'm perfect. RT never makes mistakes. But you can see all these people that are like, oh, TU doesn't work. Sorry, it does. And so, get that fucking pump chaser going, baby. $1.07. And what happens at $1.07 after you buy here? You're just kind of sick. You're pissed off. You're like, and it's harder. I did buy some in the low dollars. I think 120, 115, but it's harder to pull the trigger when you've just made a bad decision. You almost want to be on timeout, right? So lesson learned. Again, it's an old lesson that I hadn't had to relearn in a while. But hey, we're off to new highs, and that's sort of why I just did it, because I said, fuck it, just in case I'm going to ape in early. And the other thing you got to remember is I think I moved 25% of my total portfolio over to AVAX, and of that, I probably put in 50, maybe 60% of that capital into play. And that was allowing me not only to isolate my exposure to Avalanche, but also then remain a little bit liquid over there for dips and whatnot. So we have things like Ava, basically everything that had just climbed the wall of worry, just took a big shit, staircase up, elevator down kind of thing. A lot of pump chaser zones filled yesterday, so I got a little bit buy happy. And, Shibx, my first dog coin, I bought it. Ask Messi why. he's got the goods. Basically, there's just a certain amount of every transaction that is taken and then redistributed to all the holders. So how memey is that? It's good enough. And I think the market cap on this is still fairly low. That doesn't show here, but it is, it's not like, I don't think it's over 50 million. I'm not sure though. So I was like, okay, fuck it. I'll ape into a bit of that. Yak kind of feels like a YFI to me. Could be wrong. This is something you'd have to ask Messi about a little more. I'm getting a lot of what I'm getting from him. He's like, it's like, show me the ways of the ape, because, I've shown him some fibs. I've shown him some TA. We share some ideas with each other, but this is his wheelhouse. This is his, coup d'etat. I don't know what the fuck that means, but this is his jam. And so this is the season where I'm going to learn some new shit. I sat out last DeFi summer. I mean, I hit some pretty big ones last DeFi summer, but I wasn't like full ape right in there. And a lot of that was because I was doing my thing. I was trading, I was looking at my own charts. I was doing my own setups. And that's fine. But then, of course, looking back at the end of the DeFi summer, holy sh! What is going on with Ray? Oh, what happened to Ray? That's amazing. I saw this breakout last night. Wait, 858. Was that the same price over there? Still got my Ray bag. Holy fuck. So it hit $12 on Binance. This is amazing. Everything's going up. So my two major positions right now are Solana ecosystem and AVAX ecosystem. And interestingly, the Solana ecosystem, it's a little more docile right now, right? You're not going to get the apes rushing in, flipping things on Radium. It's just not quite as apey and sexy. The inertia's not there. It seems like a more patient institutional bid that's just kind of positioning massive amounts of liquidity there. I am super fucking bullish on Solana and everything that touches it. But it's not my primary focus right now. I was DCAing through all this trash, poopy price action down here. I was DCAing in. I've actually got it staked over on the Blockfolio app. A meager 5%, just sitting there, no worries. FTX app. And I just like to, see number go up. I'm not trading it as actively, but once Solana hit price discovery last night, I did go and look at what I could do there, because we talked about this last week, right? The whole like Solana breaks to new highs. Everyone's like, oh, buy fucking Solana. Meanwhile, AVAX was breaking out. Look right when you should be looking left. And then AVAX went bananas, and Solana and their names were kind of down on these little pullbacks. And I thought, we should be looking back at Solana now. It may be this kind of 1-2 punch of sort of new L1s on the scene, which is kind of what we're seeing. And so after that breakout on Solana yesterday, and then I saw FIDA kicking new all-time highs, and we just saw what the hell Ray's doing. That's incredible. Really nice to see that. And now FIDA's breaking into price discovery as well. So out of the big four, FIDA, Solana, Serum, Ray, Serum hadn't really moved. And it's also like way off its all-time highs. And yes, there's inflation stuff, and like the fully diluted is way higher than just the current market cap. But like this thing's, I'd be shocked if this thing doesn't hit price discovery. And it's basically the only one of the big four in my mind that hasn't. Those are the big four to me. I don't know if that's official, but so I went and aped into some more Serum last night, because it's back to price discovery for Solana names, and we remember very clearly right here how hard Serum can move when it decides to move. I'm sure it's going to, so that's why I bought more. I think that was probably a pump chaser zone too. Yeah, buddy, look at that. I mean, you just got to be patient, guys. I wasn't patient this week, so I didn't get the optimal entries, but now I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm like, holy shit, every single thing just went boop, boop, boop. Like, it doesn't matter how hard something pumps, it's going to reach a point of like, oh fuck, and then it's going to come back, and buyers are stepping in like at an incredible clip right at this 382. When it's really pumpy season, you barely even get the 0.5s. So really nice ad here. Again, didn't have a bid working at 628. I was kind of distracted this week, but that's something that I will improve with through this ape season as I settle in a little bit. I think being away last weekend kind of had me feeling behind, and so I just kind of came back. I was like, oh, buy it all. Anyways, let's get to the chat, guys. That was my opening, like, blah, 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 blah. Now it's time to connect with the audience. Joe Token. Yeah, so Brian asked, shout out to Brian Beamish, guys. If you haven't noticed, the Rational Investor is in the house today. This is the man, the myth, the legend who taught me just about everything I'm talking to you guys about right now on a fundamental basis. So say what up to Brian. He's in the house. And also happens to be an outstandingly wonderful human being. So Joe is a Dex, Brian. Trader Joe. It sounds silly, and I used to pass on things at the name, like Link. When I first saw it, I swear to God, I thought it was like Zelda, and like I just never really looked too deep into it. Oops, at 50 cents or whatever it was. But so Joe sounds a little silly. It's a meme. It's a Dex though, and their liquidity just surpassed Pangolin. So Pangolin was kind of the de facto Dex on AVAX. Let's go look at it. PNG. All right, so here was what people were saying. This is your Uniswap. It's going to do really well, and it still might. It still probably will. And so the narrative was like ape into this because it's the safest play over on AVAX other than AVAX itself. The kind of incumbent DEX. And the total lock value is 306 million. Now Trader Joe came along and said, actually, I would like to be the de facto DEX. Its total lock just hit 381 million. So I already forget what I said a second ago. Yeah, so it surpassed Pangolin yesterday, which really shook up the market because there was this idea in people's heads that Pangolin was the one and Joe was this like little fun meme coin. And now it's like, oh shit, maybe Joe is the one. Maybe Pangolin is not the leader we thought it was. And you could see it reprice on the chart as soon as that TVL flipped. And now we're going to find a base. We'll see where the buyers decide to value this thing at. And like I said, there's more coming up for Pangolin. So that's what Trader Joe is. You can go there, you can farm, you can stake, you can swap, obviously. And yeah, all the good stuff, all this fun DeFi. The thing is, and I'm going to beat this horse all day, it's cheap. And I know that's so cliche. It's like, oh, it's cheaper, it's faster than Ethereum. That's what things need to be if they want to compete with Ethereum. You can't be more expensive. Can't be the same goddamn price. And BNB, I think I never got fully into the Binance Smart Chain thing. I've got an account there. I didn't do too much of that shit, for better or worse. I'm sure there was a great season there. But I do find it buggy and tricky. Obviously, it's got a huge user base. So there is faster, cheaper things than Ethereum already. AVAX has this grant, and it's like 27 cents for trades, which it's so important when you're thinking about yields and APIs or APYs. And you want to flip in and out of positions, and you want to rotate, and you want to arb. It's just a more efficient ecosystem. Can it keep up with 10 billion, 100 billion TVLs when it gets there? And the transaction throughput that comes, we'll find out. The jury's out. But it's super fucking early. Yeah, so that's the FA story there, Brian. It's just another DEX protocol. Yeah, just so the thing is, don't be afraid of bridging over to Avalanche. Okay, it's actually the smoothest experience. It's basically like doing a swap. So if you've ever traded on Uniswap, it's like from Avalanche to Ethereum or from Ethereum to Avalanche, and anyways, and you just run one transaction. You start small, figure it out so that you know where it's going to arrive. But if you have a MetaMask, you have your wallet on Ethereum, you send something through the bridge, and it appears on the same address on the other side. EVM compatible kind of vibe. I think that's what that means. I don't know what the fucking EVM is, but anyways, it's very smooth, very simple. And I sent $50 over to practice, or actually send 75. Send 75 or more, because then they'll give you a little bit of Avalanche in your wallet, which is AVAX token, which is the gas. So if you send 75 or more, you get a little airdrop of AVAX to make sure you don't get stuck there with no gas. And then you can bring the rest over if it works and whatever. And then you're just, then you're playing. And as with anything, if you're sitting here like, it seems overcooked, it's a little, okay, cool. Follow your plan. Get there with some funds. So when opportunities come up and you spot alpha, you can act. There's nothing worse than catching a hot tip on something or an idea, and then you're like, oh no, I got to go start bridging funds and learn this shit. It's like, do it now. And then in a month, a week, whenever you decide you found some edge, you're right there, finger on the trigger, ready to go, fast, cheap, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now, Key is an interesting one. It's starting to move up again today. The FUD on this thing is that Alameda is farming the shit out of it, and they're very predatory farmers, and they're just basically staking and earning and then dumping. And so it is a bit of a laggard this week. But if you look at it, it's got some pretty strong fundamentals on a sort of, TVL market cap ratio, right? Market cap 69 million. Fully diluted is high because it's a farm token, so there's going to be lots of sell pressure along the way as they work their way from 325 million to 7.2 billion. That's probably going to take a while, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe more. But their TVL right now is 1.1 billion to a market cap of 69 million. They've only been around a few days. So to hit 1.1 billion in just a few days, it's a money market. Borrow, lend, all that stuff. Aave-esque, if you will. And so I think they could do really well. And I just hope that all that talk about farming and dumping doesn't just ruin my trade, to be honest. It's possible. But is it breaking out here? Like, this was one of the few ones when I showed up, I said, oh, that's actually in sort of an area where I could get a little apey because, Joe, even though I know how strong it looks, it was 3 cents 2 weeks ago. I have a really hard time picking that up. I really do. Until you look at perhaps the valuation of everything and you're thinking, okay, this is, if it does what, if it hits that sort of number one deck spot and based on TVLs and growth and projections, like it's probably like a double-digit dollar coin at some point, maybe even something a little stupider. Like, it's really hard to grasp perspective on these new things, and that's why it's really exciting. You could be like, oh, it's so high in its pattern, and then it just fucks off for a few weeks and gets boring, and then it's like, wow. And then you look back at the end of the year and you're like, holy shit, Joe in September was such a buy. That's kind of the view I have of this stuff. And again, that's new for me. If I ever missed the start of a big move, I often just never touched it. I would be like, I'm going somewhere else where something's new and cheap. And so having missed the first few days of this, I was a little salty because I got tipped off on it actually on the 18th right here, tipped off on this whole AVAX DeFi thing. And I was on an airplane, and there was a delay on the airplane. It was a 1.5 hour flight. I sat on that fucking airplane for 5 hours and then didn't even take off. I had to switch planes. So you can imagine my disgust when I finally arrived in Chicago and was like, I don't even want to go look at that stuff. I'm just going to go and have a drink and chill and hang with Rob. And then, looking back now, I'm like, oh, probably could have spent an hour just, bridging a little bit and parking some bids. Either way, I see the broader picture. And I'm not going to miss an entire kind of bootstrapping of a new ecosystem just because I'm a few days late. And if you want to put some Ponzi-nomics on it, not like I say, but, you can be a little late. Just don't be the latest. You know what I mean? That's sort of the initial bootstrapping phase. Pangolin is not on TradingView. The only one of any of these coins I've talked about that's on TradingView is listed on KuCoin, and that is Key. We're going to call it Chi. QI. So this is on TradingView. But the real winning chart thing here, Brian, and whoever else is curious, is chartx.pro. Usually you have to hold 200,000 chart tokens to access the more specialized things. So this is chart token. It's actually starting to move too because everyone wants it. But for 30 days, they're offering Avalanche to use this for free. So let me give you an example. See, along the side here, you can see which DEX it's being charted on. So Pangolin, PancakeSwap, Lydia, Trader Joe, Baguette, all these different DEXs. And you can use Uniswap on here for free, as far as I know. But to use kind of like to look at PancakeSwap and all these others, you usually have to have that premium membership. But right now, for 30 days, Avalanche is free. And that's really smart on their part because once you're hooked on using this, you'll absolutely need it. And then, they can start charging for it later and Bob's your uncle. So chart token itself might be an interesting buy. I picked some up here just to use it. I never really saw it as a trade and oops. And then even 2 weeks ago I was telling Messi, I was like, bro, just get big bag of chart tokens. It's a cheap membership right now. Well, Messi, you got yourself a 4X, baby. I hope you held on to those. Well, 2X. 4 at the highs maybe. So yeah, this thing, I know, right? Like, even as a trade, should we be looking at chart? Like this is like the kind of pickaxe of the gold rush, if you will, sort of like Dex Tools was. Let's look at Dex Tools. Actually, they had to fork their coin because of a hack, so you don't get the chart history, which is too bad because it was a beautiful chart. Maybe we'll find an old one here. Yeah. So last summer we had the DeFi mania, and I remember we were picking up a whole bunch of Dex Tools. 2020 August, in summer. God, we were picking it up at the start because it was like summer, and then it really ran, took profits, free bag. Ended up trading it again once through here, I think, something like this, because this was forever, right? This went to like January, but on this breakout there was a retest. I tweeted it out somewhere and picked up a bag, and what a trade. So yeah, Dex Tools is moving, and it's actually looking like it might go to new highs. We've got a lot of volume coming up into all-time highs here. So if this breaks into price discovery, that's a pick and shovel kind of play on all this stuff, and they may add Avalanche support soon. They've got Polygon, BNB, and Uniswap right now, and I think SushiSwap. And so yeah, Chartx might actually be an interesting play. Should take another look at that as a little proxy to all this noise. Because if Avalanche explodes, which it is doing right now, and then these guys start charging for access for Avalanche users in 30 days, anyone who is too perhaps distracted to catch that, they may end up having to come and ape in. And full membership is 200,000 tokens. I'm sure that'll adjust if this thing goes to like 50 cents or something, but for now, price of admission is going up. So I actually really like this chart. Note to self. Take another look at chart later today. So yeah. So these are on Uniswap. You can buy these on Uniswap, BB. Wow, nice chart for Dex Tools. Looks like a cup and handle forming. Yeah. Road Jogan. Man, I need another 8 hours a day. I know, dude. I slept last night from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. And then I woke up and saw what was going on in the market, and I wanted to look at it, but I got a personal trainer coming in Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:45, just kicking my ass. So we had a good workout in the basement, little gym setup I have, put me to work, and then it's like 6 a.m. and it's like, or 7 a.m. it's like time to work now. So I feel you, bro. And baby's gonna be home next week probably, so it's gonna be a whole new bucket of worms. But I would like to purchase 8 more hours per day. Wonder what we could pay as a premium on that. So anyways, yeah, this does look really good too. So Dex Tools, so here's okay, didn't even plan this today, but let's talk, picks and shovels. If we're going to have an ape season, we're going to have an alt season, we're going to have these ecosystem focused plays, then it's almost like you don't have to worry about, which coin do I get in that ecosystem? Get the thing that gives people access to the info they need about that ecosystem. So I like Dex Tools here. I don't like it as much as Chartx. It's kind of like, okay, but it's at the highs. But if it breaks out, price discovery is a bitch, and she'll run. And then chart. So I'm going to add these to my little list. If I don't physically write these things down after the stream, it's all a blur. So excuse me for half a sec. Chart and Dex Tools. I actually have both, but I have exactly as much as I need for the membership. So it's almost a non-issue. Like if it goes 10x, I'm still not selling it because I need it, which is a big, interesting point to the whole like people need it. So it's going to be a good buy and hold, I think, for a lot of people that just want that access. I don't even have children, my friend. Yeah, missed your coach before. Why not miss him again? Yeah, you know what, Pecan? I thought about it. I was up late last night. There was a big play, in Apex. I'd aped into this. This is well off the radar of. But look at you know what? Look at this thing. It's respecting the pump chaser zone, just like you want to see. This is pure Ponzi stuff, guys. This is like a super, ape play, as you can see in the name. But it's an interesting little project. And basically, you 5% of all the fees that are accrued from, 5% of every trade is put into a little smart contract. And then every time that reaches 1 billion tokens, those tokens, half of them are sold into this market for AVAX, and then that AVAX and that token are then added to liquidity. So the more trading, the more this churns up the liquidity. The liquidity on this thing is 3 million, and it only launched like couple hours ago, and then 4% of all the trades are taken and distributed to holders. So it's just this like Ponzi-rific thing. But I can say confidently that the rug risk is basically zero, because the guys who I found out about it from know the dev, and they're like, yeah, no, he's cool, it's whatever. But you know, like anything, don't trust me. Go look at the code yourself. But I aped into this one yesterday night through this early little thing, and you know, I wanted to stay up all night and just meme it up in the chat. But I had 4 hours before the trainer came, and I was like, fuck it, I'm not canceling. And I feel good. Torched the legs today. Just like, you know, it's going to be hard walking this weekend, but it's the best feeling. Funniest Discord of all time, yeah. YTS and I'll shut up. Okay, Pecan. And yeah, YTS is moving today. A little, I'm not going to lie, a little bit butthurt here, because yesterday I had a few people being like, dude, check out YTS. It's down in its zone. Because, you know, when you have this ecosystem rally, the game gets pretty easy, right? Yeah, it's tempting to just go buy the thing that's pumping this minute. Oh, this is not TradingView, so I have to set this myself. It's tempting to just like, oh, today this is the thing that's pumping, and try to always just catch the heat of the day. Very tempting. Pretty human of you. But if you just kind of look left at the things that aren't moving that day but probably will, you know, you can find some nice names like this, and it's like, oh, is YTS going to be the big DEX? Is it going to be the thing? Well, no, probably not. Maybe. But is it going to catch another bid? Probably. It's not very liquid. So, you know, getting in 800K liquidity, you know, how much can you make and get out with? So we'll see if the liquidity will grow in this. But anyways, it was right on the sweet spot for like all of yesterday. And I didn't rebuy my bag. I traded it from, I don't know, I traded it from like 6 cents to 18 cents and then sold it, and I forgot to reload, and it's moving today. It's up 48%. So is that, you know, is that going to be like one of these where it just kind of consolidates for a bit, or are we just going like straight fucking 8 bananas? We'll see. But I'm not going to buy it on a 50% pump, sadly. Should have bought it yesterday. It was easy decision. Even just a little bag, right? And I think sometimes that's, in this environment, I'm trying to like make it in one day. I'm trying to smash the bid on something that's hot, make some good coin, you know, either get out or just take half on a double. And sometimes I just pass on something because I'm like, oh, I'm not too sure. It's like, well, fuck it, just punt a little bit then. You know, 10% of your usual bid size or 50% of your usual. Like, there was definitely room for me to just trickle some in here yesterday, but oh well. Fucking way she goes, bud. So yeah, everything's just growing, guys. And as this continues, you know, risk goes up, reward potential goes down. That's the nature of up moves and markets. But for what it's worth, like I said, I think on the broader thing zooming out, this is super early in something that will likely catch like a full cycle season. So if anything, I think this is kind of like a leg one of something that could run ridiculous. And if it doesn't, you know, that's why you manage risk. You take, like for me personally, I took 25% of my portfolio into this ecosystem, and that's, you know, we're going to see how that ages. I've still got my Solana ecosystem bags, which are all in price discovery, it seems like right now, which is great news. What's one more? Like Mango Markets. Mango Markets is like a little sneaky one. I was trying to chart it the other day. I think it hit the reload zone, blasted right through my pump chaser zone, but you know, this might be one to keep an eye on. Just given that it hasn't got, you know, it doesn't have a lot of chart history, so I don't love that part about it. But it clearly has not made a huge move yet either. So when you're in an ecosystem type pump environment, sometimes just good enough to find something that's definitely not a rug and hasn't moved yet. And you get to echo pumps and they just cycle. They cycle through the ecosystem. Yeah, small MC, yeah, YTS. I don't know. Like I don't think that Yeti swap is the next big one either. I agree with you. Pumpamentals. That's right. Oxy looks good for a moonshot. Let's take a look at Oxy. Somebody said looks good for a moonshot. I've got a bag. This is not my biggest bag in my basket, but it's in there and it's decent. Oh my God, guys, look at that stuff. Raise your hand if you were stuck staring at Bitcoin yesterday, begging it to not break down instead of sitting there and chewing up these pump chaser zones, man. Like, it's it's not even fair how nicely these work when they work, and they work enough that when they don't work, it pays off anyways. But it's like even came in and said, hey, how about now? Nope. How about the lower end? Sure. And now let's break out. Nice volume coming in. So was it like this before, or did me, stipulating the pump chaser zone actually work? Shit. Sorry guys, we're gonna go on a 2-minute break. I just hear someone banging at my door. I gotta let that guy in. 1 sec. Blessed. All right. Baby registry is going crazy right now. I get packages coming in every day. Very blessed to have such good friends and family, but it does keep me running upstairs a little bit, which is not a problem at all. Except for when you're live. All right, we've got 13 minutes left. We're going to wrap up today. The daily brief happening over on TRI, so I don't want to overload or overflow into that as well. I've got a call to get to, which is part of why I picked this slot, because the afternoon gets hairy after that. C98. Now C98 I have a little bit of insight on. We actually invested over at my fund, Magnus Capital, we invested in the pre-sale for this, which is up an incredibly huge amount, except for it's got a 2-year cliff on the vesting. So, and maybe that extremely long cliff is a big reason why this thing is performing so well out of the gates, right? People like to go, VCs and dumping their coins. Well, I don't think there's a whole lot of liquid supply on the sell side to start on this market, and C98 is a pretty solid, wallet exchange over in Asia, and clearly there are a lot of deep pockets betting on this thing going well. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, 2-year cliff on that. So we'll see you in 2023 P&L. But this one is absolutely crushing lately. If you guys have any other coins, let me know. If you want to talk anything non-AVAX, non-Solana, you've got 5 minutes to throw out. Bag? Cooper says bag. Okay, let's take a look at bag. Over on Baguette. Oh, of course. Yeah. So this is one, I don't know why. This is just one I haven't even really looked at yet. It's just another, I think it's just another DEX. The exciting thing about AVAX right now is that there is no Uniswap, there's no winner. There's just a whole bunch, there's this whole ecosystem, and it's just going to be this like orgy of staking and LPing and borrowing and lending and all of that, cheap, like 30 cents, 40 cents, 60 cents per transaction. So it just makes it all much more flexible. I mean, remember Ethereum? It's insane. Even yesterday, just $90 transactions. But then when the ape season really comes, and maybe there's like a huge move in Ethereum up or down, and then you're looking at $500, $1,200 transactions. Totally unusable. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the throughput does on AVAX, how it lasts, how that ages. Let's take a look at Baguette. I really like the look of that support resistance flip. This is the hourly. So 6 p.m. last night was kind of when AVAX made its low. I think it was 6 p.m., but around then. And it's an ecosystem thing, right? So AVAX dump, everything here, it's so nascent that people will react to AVAX price fairly heavily. I just realized this little heater is on. Might be giving you guys a buzz. So let's see. Baguette looks pretty good. And I'd be curious what the market cap is. Liquidity's low, 240,000 in liquidity. Maybe that's just this pair for Baguette. I don't know how that works. But that seems really low as far as, getting in with an amount is cool, but then you're thinking to yourself, well, I want to 10x and make, a huge amount of money. Well, where is your exit liquidity, right? I'm always thinking about exit liquidity before I get into something. It's very tempting to sometimes just ape into shit, and that's that's actually why I really like ApeX for a shitcoin play, because the liquidity is insane. It's like a 15 million market cap and 3 million liquidity. I mean, it was a very friendly situation for just liquid trading. And then of course the trading leads to more supply being taken and put into LPs and being given out to holders. And so it's this big monster of Ponzi-rificness. It's going to be fun to watch. But bear in mind that I have a free position now. I did de-risk this morning because I woke up, this was like, okay, let's see what this can do. Wake up, holy shit, that's what it can do. De-risk, and actually was looking to get back into this pump chaser zone. But during this stream, it seems that I might have missed that. And so playing from a position of strength here, waiting to see what happens. I have a feeling that this thing is not going to be an overnight sensation. I think it'll be around for at least a few weeks, if not months. And then from there, you never know. These things... I don't have a ton of experience with them, so I'm not probably the guy to ask historically about how they age, but kind of reminds me of like tendies. You guys remember tendies? Is that thing still around? It's not a great comparison, maybe, because I think tendies just fell off a cliff and died. But remember tendies last year? I remember like a lot of the same people I'm seeing talk about this one. We're talking about that one. Let's see where it went. Yeah, didn't age too well. But look, it was really fun for like 2 months. But who knows? Maybe it's not at all like tendies. I don't know. The liquidity thing. I actually don't really know what tendies was all about, except for just that it was like this hype thing, right? I traded this one once and got the fuck out because I just didn't understand it. And that's kind of how I play these things, You gotta get in, and then if you can de-risk early on. I know that sounds so counterintuitive to the ape mentality, but I'm new to the ape stuff, Let me make a cool mill, and then we'll talk about, holding diamond-handed through something. But right now I like to get my capital back in my hands with a free bag to see just how high these Ponzi's can run. So yeah, is Pangolin in this pump chaser zone a really under and perhaps overlooked play right now because of the recent overtake by Joe? Do you think Pangolin team and LPs and all them are going to let it die? Do you think that the fee burning switch that's about to go on in the next week is going to have any impact on price? I think there's value to be had here, and whether that is, take it all back in one kind of vibe seems a little less likely. Always does when you're down in these dips. Or is it like a dreebly, see, I told you guys Joe's the future, into that reload zone, and then we come up like next month when everyone's forgotten Pangolin exists and they're like, wow, it's the Uniswap. I don't know. All I do know is that this was a bit irrational. It was like, oh, another DEX overtook liquidity by 80 million or whatever it was. Sell everything. Like, I think there's room for more than one very big DEX on AVAX. So if you find an irrational moment in the market, sometimes there's an advantage to be taken there. So I don't know. I might trade this. Right now, it's like the least cool coin because everyone's like super long on Joe. I am long on it. I don't know if I'm super long, but I've got a nice healthy bag that I would love to see, catch a double. So Joe, pump chaser zone kind of stuff. PNG's already there. Apex, at your own risk. Shibex looks like it wants more. And I have a bag of that too. So just getting into all the grease. And then Yak is kind of like your YFI vibe, right? It's already a $12,000 coin, up from just $1,400 10 days ago. So, but fairly heavily undervalued relative to potential growth. even if you're just comparing it to YFI growth. So it's an exciting times right now. Yeah, Tendies has been dead ever since. Yeah, like, you know, I think if Messi saw me compare Apex to Tendies, he would tell me 10 reasons why it's different. And I agree. Like, I did look at the Apex website, and it sounds pretty dope, at least if nothing else for like a fun, like liquidity churning, fee sharing kind of fun thing. And we'll see how that ages, right? But once you're risk-free, you can really enjoy it and watch it, and you can even trade it a bit, like buy a little dip, sell a little rip. But my base from that initial is secured, and I feel pretty chill about that. I'm gonna see where it's at. You know, we'll just watch it go. But it's like, look, guys, you can't deny the pump chaser zone is working. So make sure to come and take a look at these kinds of things. If you guys haven't already, you should check out the pump chaser zone video, which is right up here. If you rewatch this later, see if I actually remember to place that video there, and just learn how to apply it. It's simple. It's really simple. Find the low of a rally, take it to the recent high of a rally, and so this is a great way to FOMO into things because they almost always hit. And if they don't, they don't. And if they get blown right through all the way down, okay, manage risk. But if you can hit them, they're so beautiful. They're so beautiful. And I think a lot of them hit, you know. See, like this one kind of blasted through very irrational selling yesterday on XAVA. It's an Avalancher. It's going to be a launch pad. And I'll tell you right now, there will be hundreds of projects launching on Avalanche in the next year, if not more. And Avalanchers, PFI, some of these launchpad kind of things, like they're going to get their bids. Because you need to buy this token. And I'm not speaking specifically to Pangolin token or anything, but generally with launchpads, you have to buy and hold their token to have access to the new launches that are on the network. And because those can be so valuable, sometimes you get a $200 ticket and then it comes out and it's like 70x and you're like, whoa. So the coin, the base coin for that launcher becomes very valuable to the holder. And so the price can really run. And we saw that with Polka Starter, probably one of the best examples was Polls. I don't know how it's doing lately. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, and so now we have another conversation to have around IDO seasons, right? There's a time when pre-sales do really well, and it's usually the ones who raise during kind of quiet, uncertain times, and then they launch in the midst of a hype. Because during those quiet and uncertain times, there's not a lot of raising going on. There's significantly less. And so the next bull comes in the market, and those fewer projects that we're raising are all launching. And so there's few to choose from. There's more liquidity per project. They all pump like crazy. And then, as we can see here, IDO platform tokens, they do well. And then what happens? Well, during this, suddenly, there's 100 new projects launching every week. It's amazing to me because they always send us this white paper and it's like, you know, you look at it and you're like, it feels like you've been working on this for months, but where the fuck all you guys just came out right now to do the raise? And I think sometimes you're just building something and then you decide to do the raise, kind of like you FOMO in almost. You're like, oh yeah, let's raise right now because we'll get all this. And then on top of that, you just have the scammers and the shitty copycats. Like I've read white papers that literally copy pasted other ones. This is not like a big surprise, right? But then they forget to change certain words. And so the name of the project that they copied is right in the white paper. I'm like, bro, seriously? Like, pay for an edit if you're trying to raise millions of dollars. It's worth it. If you're trying to scam people, come on. Point being, during those moments, there's so many projects raising, and they all try to rush to a launch. And so you have 500 projects launch one month, and there's not enough liquidity to go around, and they go through these bear markets like we saw in May and June, where basically every new project just dumped to hell. Like this. This is what every single project looked like. Let's see which other ones. BIOS. Let me eat my words, right? They all come out and just come down. SDAO actually came out really solid. I think they had a market manager or market maker managing their distributions, you know. So you get this, right? I'll give you another example though. Earlier this year, YOP launched in the perfect environment. So it comes out, runs to many multiples. Then it hit the bricks like everyone else. What was another one that launched in a really good environment? MahaDAO earlier this year. Launches insane. I mean, this doesn't look like much. This is like a month, right? That's a month of just pump-tastic fantastic, up to like $25. So they are very seasonal. UFT, really nice time to launch as a new project. So rambling now, but I guess what I'm trying to say is PFI, circling back to where we started, PFI is going to be a launch pad, I think. It's kind of like is it Pancake Swap? It's got like some more staking. I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the site. I do have a little bag, but research comes after in this environment. And Avalanche is definitely one that I'm interested in, and it looks like it's trending up. And so what I think early on in AVAX, and then I got to sign off because the DB is starting in a second. I told them I would, and I got a call to get to. But I think that AVAX being so new, there's already a lot of stuff being built on it, and they're going to start coming out. And the first few will probably have very few sets of eyes on them, so they'll pump like crazy. And so the first month or so, we could see some real juice in the IDO space. And to access that as Joe Public, you need to go and buy some of these tokens. I don't know the specifics, but it's typically the same model, right? Where you buy and hold XAVA, and that gives you either a lottery ticket or a pre-selected allocation. Holy shit, ShibX is pumping. And yeah, so keep an eye out. We probably are going to get a really nice IDO season over on Avalanche, and Avalanche and PFI, from what I can see, are the two main players in that space. And we'll see, if their first couple of IDOs perform really well, and then those people start telling stories about how they just made 200x on a $100, $200 ticket that they got, these things will pump because more people will want to get into the next one, and that will bubble and that will cycle, and then there'll be 500 launches on Avalanche by the end of the year, and they'll all come out and underperform, and that'll be the end of our fun cycle. And my goal is to capture as much of that as I possibly can, period. That's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Lots of focus on Avalanche because that is where the energy is in the market, and I'll be damned if I'm going to stare at a boring market when I can look right and see this hot new thing coming up. Play from strength. Don't rush in. These pump chaser zones will come. This one just came in. It's kind of still in an area where after talking today, I kind of want to add some. But the point is, if it breaks back into price discovery, it's going to be very hard to not buy it, or you're going to be like, oh, FOMO. It will overbuy. It will overextend, and it will dump hard one day, somehow, some way, and it will hit a pump chaser zone, and it will provide another entry. And that's the same with every single one of these fucking assets. So don't listen to anyone during the pumps that says TA doesn't work. Throw your TA out the window. If you have a plan and it uses TA, stick to it. And friggin' wow. This is apparently up 100% today. I'm down with that. Okay, guys, we're going to get back to studio real quick as I say goodbye. Friday today, it's going to be one of those low sleep environments for the next little bit. Ape season often is. Sometimes you fall asleep, you wake up, and you just missed a new launch of something, and it's like 300x, and all your buddies are like, oh my God, we're so rich, and you're poor because you sleep. So I may be looking tired for the next few weeks, but it's time well spent. And looking forward to all of it, man. Just play from strength, guys. Be careful. Don't get wrecked. And don't get rugged. All right? Don't get rugged. All these little shittier ones like ShibX, I say shittier, maybe they're fun too. Apex, all of these, I'm only in them either with small amounts because of whatever, or because I have it from a trusted source that there's no rug risk. I don't think I've ever been rugged once. I think once I got rugged. It was a free position. I'd already taken profit. Point being, be safe. The number one rule. Always make sure you can come back and play the game tomorrow. Because if you get wrecked, yeah, all in bag, right? Okay. Cooper says all in bag, which would be an interesting thing on the chart given the liquidity I'm seeing. But hey, it does look good. Maybe I'll go pick up a bag of bag. Live life on the edge. So one thing that I'll say, and this is the last thing I'm going to say today, is, wait, I just looked at bag and didn't show you guys. One thing I'll say is I have, moving your portfolio around into chunks. So 25%, let's go over to Avalanche. Out of that 25%, we're going to sit in a few blue chips. We're going to, have a big bag of AVAX, obviously, trading against AVAX, trying to grow the AVAX bag as it expands. And then maybe take 20 AVAX, 100 AVAX, whatever your bank size is, and you go and put that aside for special, shitty little moonshots. And then if you get rugged, it's like it's not so bad. It's like certainly not going to ruin your ability to participate in the more blue chip environment that is probably going to be around and doing extremely well. There will be 100Xs on Avalanche this year somewhere. I feel it. Feel it in my bones. In fact, in many ways there already has been. Joe is coming up really close to 100X, and so proof is in the pudding. And if you're the type of person to look at this and say, oh well, I missed it, and you don't see the potential for future opportunity, you're probably not going to make it. It's going to be really hard for you. And I'm not talking about this coin right here at this moment, but in general, this ecosystem, there's going to be echoes. 100X is up here. Can Joe hit 360? I think so. So that's all I'm going to say for today. I'm here for, as long as this lasts, and it sounds like Avalanche is super legit. So there's always that outside chance that it actually does explode, grow, stay, become, I'm not going to say ETH killer because everyone hates that shit. I don't think it would kill ETH, but it could severely shift the TVLs in the world based purely on the early experience I've had on it. It's incredible. And I think people will come and see that. And we're going to see how it goes. But even, like I said, even barring that, it's going to be a season. I'm seeing it right now. It's pretty fucking exciting. Okay, I've said enough. Have a wonderful day, guys. Whatever you do from now until next Friday, always play for a position of strength. Take care.